That song is called Zombie by the Cranberries, and I love that song so much. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna try and show you how to play it. But let's continue with the basics. Last week, I showed you how to make different sounds using the strings of the guitar, and it's more than just strumming. That's the coolest thing. So today, I'm gonna be talking to you about the different parts of the guitar, how to tune it, and a little bit of strumming just so you know how to play that song, and it'll encourage you to be able to play a little bit with at least a popular song. So let's get started. So first I'm going to have the body, and I have a hole inside the acoustic guitar body, and this is where all the sound is going to project out of because it's bouncing all around these inside walls. Then obviously I'm going to have my strings, I'm going to have my neck, and then I have little sections right here, and it goes all the way down past to about right here, and all of these little sections are called frets. If you ever hear me use the word fret, you know what I'm talking about, and if you ever hear me use the word steps, that means that I'm still referring to the fretboard, but I'm referring to how far you're going to go from one original spot to the next. For instance, if I'm right here, and I go to this next fret, then that is called a half step. If I go back to my original spot where I was just at, and I go to here, so I'm right here on the 5th fret, and if I go to the 7th fret, that is actually called a whole step. So if you ever hear me later on use either fret, half, or whole step, now you know what it is that I'm talking about. And then you have the head of the guitar, and then these right here are going to be the nuts that are going to keep the guitar tuned. Doesn't really matter how good you get. If your guitar is not tuned properly, it's probably going to sound like doo-doo. So anyway, in order to tune the guitar, we're going to be talking about standard tuning, which means that we are going to have, there we go, that sounds a whole lot cleaner. We're going to have the E string, then the A string, D, G, B, and E. There's a low E and there's a high E, and these are octaves apart. The way that you can tune the guitar is, or the way that you are going to be tuning the guitar is that you're going to twist the nut either back or forward. If I were to tune this guitar by twisting it this way, so you can hear how there's a different, or there's a fluctuation in the sound. So if you didn't hear it, listen for it again. And then I can go down. So you see how it goes down. Well, the way that we're going to tune this, like I said, is going to be standard tuning. There's so many different ones, but we're just going to do the universal one. Well, there are so many different free, kid you not, free tuners out there that you can use just using your smartphone. It just uses your microphone. As soon as you start plucking the string, it's going to recognize what are the notes that you are trying to play, and it'll tell you if you should tune up or if you should tune down. If you're hearing something that sounds way, way, way too low, or it's saying that you need to go up, what you're going to do is you're going to take the top part and you're going to twist away from you. So this part is actually going to go that way. And that means that I need to go up. There's sometimes where it says that you actually need to tune the string down, and that means I'm going to take this and I'm going to go the opposite way. So I'm going to twist it towards me. Well, as a just in case, if you are just about to sing to yourself, or if you are just practicing in the room by yourself, and say for instance if your smartphone is dead, you can actually tune the guitar to itself, and you don't really need a tuner per se, as long as you are not playing an instrument with anyone else. The way that you're going to do that is that you are going to remember 5, 5, 5, 4, 5. What does that mean? Well, that means that you are going to take your finger, it could be any finger that you want, and you're gonna place it on the 5th fret of the E string way up here. Then I'm gonna pluck. So you see how that sounds a little off? So since I was messing around with this one right here, I'm gonna skip the top string and I'm gonna move on to the next string. And again, I'm gonna be on the 5th fret, but not on the top string anymore. I'm actually gonna go to the lower string, the 2nd string. So you see how they sound the same? And they no longer sound the same anymore. Well, that's because I cut off the vibration. I decreased some of the tension, I increased some of the tension inside of the string. So now it doesn't have a whole lot of room to vibrate, whereas now it had this entire length for the whole string to vibrate. So that's why the string sounds a little bit lighter, or it sounds higher now. So I'm gonna go to the 5th fret. That sounds good, sounds like it's in tune to itself. Now I'm gonna go to the 5th fret of the string right below it. Sounds just a little off, so since I am on the G string, that means I'm gonna follow the string all the way down till I get to this one right here. So let's try that again. I'm gonna twist that just a little bit. There we go. It sounds better. This time, for the next string, I'm not gonna go to the 5th fret, I'm actually gonna go to the 4th fret. The way that I know my frets is that I'm gonna have a little dot that's right here that's gonna signify my 5th fret. Or at the top of my guitar, I also have little dots right here, and your guitar most likely will have these dots as well, and it's for guidance purposes. So I'm gonna go to the 4th fret. Okay, so you see how that sounds like it's a little too sharp? So I'm gonna tune it down just a little bit. So that sounds better. Then for the last one, I'm gonna go to my 5th fret again, and I'm just gonna drop down one string. So again, I don't know if you can hear that, but it does still sound a little off. Okay, it's getting closer. Okay, so now the two are synced up. Now I'm gonna go back to my original top string, this top E string, and I'm gonna tune it to this string right here, the 2nd one, now that everything else is tuned. So now that I hear that, I pluck it a few times, I realize that the E string is no longer the E string, it's not making an E, it's actually making a note that's much, much lower. So what I'm gonna do in order to correct this mistake, I'm gonna twist this away from me so that the string tension can get a little bit more increased, and that means that the note is not gonna be whatever note it's playing right now. It's actually gonna get me closer and closer to an actual E. So you can see now that now my guitar should be tuned if I do the 5-5-5 4-5 test. 5, 5, 5, 4. There we go. So now my guitar is tuned. So now that I can pretty much play any other song that is normally in standard tuning, and that's a good thing, because if it's not, then it's going to sound really off and it's going to frustrate myself or yourself if you finally learn a song, but your instrument is out of tune. Let's go ahead and, now that we have our tuning out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the song that I promised that I'm going to show you how to play. Plus, I'm also going to introduce you to 2-finger chords. What a chord is are just at least 2 notes, so more than one note, and all of them are going to almost blend together harmoniously. They're going to sound like they belong together. The first one that we're going to start off with is going to be an E minor. And I'm going to be quite honest, a lot of the other ones, I don't really know the names of the chords, but I just know how to make them. But I know the first one is going to be called E minor. What you're going to do is you're going to take number 1 and number 2, these 2 fingers right over here, and you are going to place them not on the E string, not on the top string, but the index finger, you're gonna place on the string just below it. So you're on the second string. And then you're gonna place your middle finger on the string right below that. And you are going to press down as hard as you can. This is my little disclaimer to you all. This is where your fingers, if you are practicing, your fingers may end up hurting for a little while, and that is okay. That means that you are doing a good job. It means you need to practice just for a little bit longer, and then give yourself a little break, and then come right back to it, if not later on that day, then the day after. So I'm pressing down my fingers as hard as I can. I am going to do my absolute best to put my fingers as close to the fret line, this little fret line right here, as possible. If I put my fingers way over here, then it actually gives your strings a whole lot more room to be able to wiggle around, and we don't want our strings wiggling around right here, because then you're gonna get what's called a fret buzz, and it's gonna sound kind of nasty. So I'm gonna put my fingers as hard as I can right here, and your E minor will sound just like that. The way that I always teach people, or I give them advice, is that if you are a little bit concerned about if you are forming the chords right, don't worry about strumming. See if you can just individually pick the string, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you. The reason why I do that is that I want to make sure that my fingers are clearing every other string, because if my fingers are touching them in any way, I get what's called a string mute, or it does a little muting sound, and I'll demonstrate that right here. You hear that? That's because this finger, I'm purposely making it collide with this string right here, so it cannot vibrate the way that it should, and it can't make that full sound. It's not until I actually lift my fingers up, that's when it gets that very, very clean sound. Also, what I'm doing on the back of the guitar is that my hand, I'm used to playing guitar, so I usually wrap it around the fretboard. As you're starting off, the proper way to do it is by pushing your thumb really, really hard against the back of this neck right here. That way your hand can have the clearance that it needs so that nothing else touches. So whatever way is comfortable for you in order to press these strings down, then by all means go ahead and get into that good practice. The next chord that I'm going to show, you're going to shift your fingers from going from the middle finger, or your index finger is going to drop down one string, just one. Your middle finger is going to go from that same string that it was just at, and you're going to transfer it up one string and over. So it'll look just like that. And there, it'll sound just like this. And I don't know if you just heard that, but my fingernail was barely touching this top string. So it kind of made a little bit of that muting sound before I moved my finger out of the way. So I'm going to play it for you just one more time. There we go. The third chord, pretty easy. All you have to do is take this finger and just move up one string. Just one string each. I'm going to take my middle finger on this second string. I'm going to go up to the first. I'm going to take my index finger that's on the third string, and I'm going to go up to the second string. So I am on the second string, second fret. And one half step up, my middle finger is on the first string, the E string, and on the third fret. And it'll sound just like this. And again, you see how I am forming my hand so that I am pressing my thumb against the back of the neck, and you should either be doing this with the tip of your thumb, or if your hands are large enough or comfortable enough, you can use the joint just before the joint part of your thumb in order to press down. However you're comfortable, as long as you can clear those strings. Then the last one is probably the easiest one of this entire song. It doesn't really matter what finger you use. Usually I use my index finger, or it just depends. Sometimes I use my middle finger, whichever. But you're going to use just one finger on the 2nd fret of the E string way up here. Sounds just like that. Before we put it all together, I'm going to throw in just a little bit of strumming. Strumming is actually going to take a lot of practice, but I'm just going to give you the something to look forward to for later on in this guitar course. So the way that we're going to strum this is that I am going to form my E minor, and I'm going to keep my E minor for a really long time, just so that when I transfer over to another chord, it doesn't confuse anybody if I'm going over 2 different things at the same time. So like I said, I'll stick with the E minor. So did you see that? And I'll do it slower for you. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay. So again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So when you put that all together, it's going to sound like this, and I'll do it very slowly for you. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So you see, it's just all about counting. And after you get into a good habit of counting, make sure that you are counting, that if you need to, tap your foot when you get a little bit more comfortable with the counting, so that way you can play along to the songs a little bit easier. If that is way too much for you for right now, please, by all means, just practice just the basics. Like I said, just tuning the guitar, finding out different ways that you can make a sound with this guitar. And then, like I said, you can ease into the strumming with this very simple song, which is a very powerful one, with that strum pattern again. See, and there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor to show you how to play guitar, and I really do appreciate you viewing this video. I just want to highly encourage you, just keep on practicing. If you really do want to learn how to play guitar, do not let any frustrations get into your way. Just keep on practicing. I promise you, you can do this. Bye everybody. Have a good one.